Welcome back, tennis fans. Another GTL news, and this one is an absolutely huge story. I know we've got Roland Garros happening right now as we speak, but with regards to Wimbledon, which is a slam just after, it has been announced today that the ATP and the WTA Tour will not be awarding any points for Wimbledon. You've got Jose Morgado here breaking the news earlier on, saying no ATP points at Wimbledon 2022. It's later been announced that WTA have followed in their footsteps. We've got Luca Fiorino here saying points earned at Wimbledon in 2021 will drop from players' rankings as per the ATP rules, so 52 weeks after the previous year's event. As such, no points from Wimbledon will remain in a player's ranking breakdown after this year's event. Of course, this is in the light of Wimbledon coming out saying they'll be banning Russian and Belarusian players on both the men and women's tour from playing in this year's championship. There's been a lot of opinions on both sides. I'm going to save my opinions for a podcast me and Ben are going to do on the story. This is just news as it's happening, breaking everything down for you guys. We've also got another tweet here, which I think is fascinating. And this is the players who are going to be most affected by the fact that Wimbledon are dropping off all of the points from 2021. You can see here, of course, Djokovic, he won it last year. Berrettini, he was in the final. Hurkacz and Shapovalov also went deep. So they're going to lose respectively 2,000 points for Djokovic, 1,200 for Berrettini, Hurkacz 720 and Shapo 720 as well. And that is a lot of points going to be dropping from these players. Pretty crazy when you think about it, because there's nothing they can do. They're not defending it in 2022 because there's not going to be any points. And I mean, looking at this is not going to help Djokovic's case for keeping world number one. It's going to mean most likely Daniel Medvedev or maybe a Zverev can sort of take that title. You never know. Carlos Alcaraz, he's doing pretty well at the moment as well. But these are the players who will be missing out the most on the men's side. Looking at the official statement from Wimbledon, it is pretty long, but I'm going to read some of it here. So this is the ATP statement, and it reads, the ability for players of any nationality to enter tournaments based on merit and without discrimination is fundamental to our tour. The decision by Wimbledon to ban Russian and Belarusian players from competing in the UK this summer undermines this principle and the integrity of the ATP ranking system. It is also inconsistent with our ranking agreement. Absent a change in circumstances, it is with a great regret and reluctance that we see no option but to remove ATP ranking points from Wimbledon for 2022. So they're not saying it's final. They're saying basically if Wimbledon do retract the banning of Russian and Belarusian players, they will obviously reinstate the points. But until something drastically changes with Wimbledon's stance, they're not going to be offering any points, which is, of course, very unprecedented. And it's going to put Wimbledon really under a bit of a cloud. I mean, it does seem like a bit of an asterisk slam if players are going to be there competing for no points. And also begs the question, are players wanting to even compete at Wimbledon without any ranking points at stake? Just moving on to the next one, because it is a very long statement. We've got here saying we greatly value our long-standing relationship with Wimbledon and the LTA, but we do not underestimate the difficult decisions faced in responding to the recent UK government guidance. However, we note that this was informal guidance, not a mandate, which offered an alternative option that would have left the decision in the hands of individual players competing as neutral athletes for a signed declaration. That's pretty interesting. And we've got also our internal discussions with affected players, in fact, led us to conclude this would have been a more agreeable option for the tour. We remain hopeful of further discussions with Wimbledon, leading to an acceptable outcome for all concerned. More broadly, we believe this matter again highlights the need for a united governance structure across professional tennis so that decisions of this nature can be made in a joint manner. And of course, we have all been calling for this unified governance structure. Doesn't look like it's coming. We've got so many different entities in tennis, all doing their own things. And ultimately, you do get messes like the one we find ourselves in at the moment. The statement does go on. And it says, our condemnation of Russia's devastating invasion of Ukraine remains unequivocal. Immediate action was taken to suspend the ATP Tour events in Moscow and have Russian and Belarusian athletes compete under neutral flags on tour. In parallel, we have continued our humanitarian support for Ukraine together with the other governing bodies of tennis, as well as providing direct financial assistance to many affected players. I think that was a really important part of the statement. Of course, we all do condemn the actions of Russia. It is devastating what's happening, and I do stand with everyone in Ukraine in these very difficult moments. Is it the right decision? I've already come out on the podcast before and said I do think it's very harsh on these Russian players who have called for an end to the war. They do not want this war as much as we do. But ultimately, well, this is a good example. We've got Sergei Stakhovsky saying that he's very disappointed with not just the ATP Tour, but also tennis players in general. He feels that Russian players should have come out and said a little bit more, and he doesn't believe that they have so far. So he said, to say that I'm disappointed in the ATP Tour would be an understatement. Never would expect that anyone can stand on the side of invaders and murderers, but it seems to me that even my fellow players feel sorry for invaders and collaborators with Russia, Belarus. He then went on to say players which in 85 days were not able to produce any clear message of condemnation of invasion into Ukraine. Shameful day in tennis. So he's still calling out all Russian players, saying they should be making more of a stand right now. And he does have a point, because I've not seen much recently, but during the initial stages of the war, I didn't see any support from any Russian player. And I did see many of them voice their opinions publicly as well. Not just a few people, or they did it in the public eye after winning tennis matches, on social media, in press conferences. And I feel they have tried their best to sort of spread the message. They do not want this war. But that's just my take on it. Let me know what you think. Of course, it is huge news that Wimbledon will not be awarding any points for both the ATP and the WTA Tour. Let me know what you think in the comments section. And of course, if you haven't already, hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. See you soon.